जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prthu, text number 31 onwards. Tvanmayayadha jan ish khandito yadanya dashast ritatmano buddha yatha chared val hitam pita swayam तथा त्वम एवार्हसि नः समीहितुम्. My Lord, due to your illusory energy, all living beings in this material world have forgotten their real constitutional position. And out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you. But as a father, not waiting for the son's demand, does everything for the benefit of the son. Please bestow upon me whatever you think is best for me. So Prthu Maharaj asked for benediction of hearing, millions of ears, so he could hear the glories of the Lord. He wanted to serve the Lord. So that is another benediction he asked. And the association of the devotees, because in that association only he can hear. And finally he said, so whatever is best for me, you decide. You just give me. Bestow upon me. It is a duty of the son to depend upon his father without asking anything from him. The good son has faith that the father knows best how to benefit him. Similarly, a pure devotee does not ask anything from the Lord for material benefit, nor does he ask anything for spiritual benefit. Pure devotee is fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord takes charge of him. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Aham tuam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami. The Father knows the necessities of the Son and supplies them. And the Supreme Lord knows the necessities of the living entities and supplies them sumptuously. And he supplies them sumptuously, more than what we can handle. Therefore, the Ishopanishad states that everything in this material world is complete, purnam, idam. The difficulty is that due to forgetfulness, the living entities create unnecessary demands and entangle themselves in material activities. The result is that there is no end to material activities, life after life. So a pure devotee, Prabhupada says, he does not ask for anything, materially or spiritually. That's a pure devotee. But since we are trying to be devotees, so sometimes we do ask for material benefits, something that we can get so that we can carry on with our devotional service with peace, with some more peace and contentment, hopefully. And then we do ask for some spiritual benefits. Oh Krishna, please don't let me take birth again, or whatever. Although once Tamal Krish Maharaj said, one spiritual benefit we all should ask for is, oh my Lord, please give me some affinity for chanting of your holy name. That benefit definitely we can ask. But even others also, because we are not at the level of pure devotees yet. But the point is, Krishna knows what he wants to give us, even though we make ask for whatever we want. Krishna knows what he wants, what is best for us. And even materially, Krishna is ready to supply everything. And he supplies according to our karmas. But our problem is the greed. We want to take over. We want to encroach upon the properties of others. And that creates a whole cycle of actions and reactions. And that's what Prabhupada said. The result is that there is no end to material activities, life after life. Before us, there are varieties of living entities, and everyone is entangled in transmigrations and activities. Our duty is simply to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and let Him take charge, for He knows what is good for us. Prthu Maharaj therefore tells that the Lord that as a Supreme Father, He may elect to bestow whatever He considers beneficial for Prthu Maharaj. That is a perfect position of the living entity. So the Supreme Lord knows what is best. So best thing for us to do is just surrender and let Him take charge. Let Him do whatever is best for us. Therefore, Mahaprabhu teaches us in Shikshashtakam, na dhanam, na jannam, na sundarim. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor have I any desire to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service in my life. I don't even want liberation, so just give me devotion service birth after birth. The conclusion is that the pure devotee should not aspire after any material benefit from devotional service. Nor should he be enamored by fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. He should always be engaged favorably in the service of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. So that's all we should aspire for. Just the service. More and more service. That's all I want. Maitreya Vacha. Iti adi rajena nutah so vishwadrivo tamaharajan mai bhaktirastu te dishte drishi dhirmai te krita yaya mayam madhyam tarati sma dustyajam. The great sage Maitreya continued by saying that the Lord, the seer of the universe, after hearing Prthu Maharaj's prayer, addressed the king. My dear king, may you always be blessed by engaging in my devotional service. Only by such purity of purpose as you yourself very intelligently express can one cross over the insurmountable illusory energy of Maya. So only by such purity of purpose. So engaging in devotional service it needs some purity of purpose. It means there should not be any impurity, no ulterior motives when we are doing devotional service. And when we engage with such a motive, with such purity, one can cross over the insurmountable illusory energy of Maya. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, wherein the Lord also claims that the illusory energy is insurmountable. No one can transcend the illusory energy of Maya by fruitive activity, speculative philosophy, or mystic yoga. The only means for transcending illusory energy is devotional service, as the Lord Himself states, Mamevi prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. If one wants to cross over the ocean of material existence, there is no alternative than to take to devotional service. A devotee therefore should not care for any material position, whether in heaven or in hell. A pure devotee should always engage in the service of the Lord, for that is his real occupation. Simply by sticking to that position, one can overcome the stringent laws of material nature. So this is our real occupation, just engage in the service of the Lord without any desire for karma, jnana, or the yoga, tapasya, the other yoga, hatha yoga. No desire for that. Just devotional service. Tattvam kuru mayadishtam apramatah prajapate madadesha karo lokaha sarvatrapnoti shobhanam. My dear king, protector of the citizens, henceforward be very careful to execute my orders and not be misled by anything. Anyone who lives in that way, simply carrying out my orders faithfully, will always find good fortune all over the world. So that's all we have to do. Just faithfully, with full faith, carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord. The sum and substance of religious life is to execute the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one who does so is perfectly religious. In Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord says, Man mana bhavad bhakta, just think of me and become my devotee. Furthermore, the Lord says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja. Give up all kinds of material engagement and simply surrender unto me. This is the primary principle of religion. Anyone who directly executes such an order from the personality of Godhead is actually a religious person. Others are described as pretenders, for there are many activities going on throughout the world in the name of religion which are not actually religious. For one who executes the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, there is only good fortune throughout the world. This is what the Supreme Lord says. If we simply carry out his orders faithfully, we'll always find good fortune all over the world. And Srila Prabhupada showed by his example. He just followed the orders of his Guru Maharaj, and the orders of Guru Maharaj was very much in line with the orders of the Supreme Lord. He just surrendered fully and wanted to execute the mission of his Guru. And what happened, and he had so much of faith, so much of fixed faith, nishtha actually, that at the age of 70, he started the movement. And when he was in New York, in that small place, the Matchless Gifts, he hardly had any followers, any real followers. He had some well-wishers, and he had some students who would come once in a while to his classes, but he didn't have followers. And at that time, in July of 1966, he registered the society as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He called it International Society. And before that, when he was in Butler, Pennsylvania, somebody asked him, Swamiji, what do you see? I mean, what is your mission? And Prabhupada told him, I see many, many temples, many, many disciples. It's just that time is separating us. So that was his conviction. And naming the society with only few people, those were his well-wishers, naming the society as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they told him, let's name it God Consciousness and keep it more open for everybody. He said, no, God's name is Krishna, and that's what everybody has to learn. That is conviction. That is faith. And that comes from purity of purpose. He had no other purpose but to serve Krishna. That's it. And look at what he found. He always find good fortune all over the world. And that's what he did. In 1972 or sometime like that, when he was in India, and some reporters were taking his interview, and he said, I mean, who can be more rich, or who can be richer than me? I have a house in every big city of the world, because his disciples were all over the world, opening up temples. Of course, the temples that we opened outside India at that time were very basically small temples. There were storefronts. Storefront is like a shop. They just rent a shop, install the deities or have the pictures, and start the program. Preaching program, then Sunday feast, and then Harinam, and then the book distribution, and money collection by that. And then slowly, 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 they would build a bigger, bigger, and bigger temple. But at that time, there were these kind of temples. But there were temples all over the world, in basically all the major cities. And this is what Prabhupada said, who can be richer than me? I have, I have a house in practically every major city of the world, and I have servants in every house, and I have cars in every house, and I don't even have to pay to my servants. Who can be richer than me? And frankly speaking, if you look at it, yes, it is true. I mean, not even the richest people cannot even dream of having a house in every major city and having servants in every house with cars and everything. But that is the purity of Prabhupada. And so much of so that still people are joining him. People are reading his books, reading the philosophy that he gave, and they're still joining because of Prabhupada. That's a potency. Even it's been what 40 years, 43 years since he left. Still people are joining. Maitreya Vacha iti venyasya rajarshe pratinandyartha pujito anugrihi gantum chakre achyuto matim. The great Saint Maitreya told Vidura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, amply appreciated the meaningful prayers of Maharaj Prthu. Thus, after being properly worshipped by the king, the Lord blessed him and decided to depart. Most important in this verse are the words Pratinandyarthvada Vacha, which indicate that the Lord appreciated the very meaningful prayers of the king. When a devotee prays to the Lord, it is not to ask for material benefits, but to ask the Lord for his favor. He prays that he may be engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet, birth after birth. Lord Chaitanya therefore uses the words Mam Janmani Janmani, which mean birth after birth, because a devotee is not even interested in stopping the repetition of birth. The Lord and the devotee appear in this material world, birth after birth, but such births are transcendental. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord informed Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had undergone many, many births previously. But the Lord remembered everything about them, whereas Arjuna had forgotten. The Lord and his confidential devotees appear many times to fulfill the Lord's mission. But since such births are transcendental, they are not accompanied by the miserable conditions of material birth, and they are therefore called divya, transcendental. So Lord and his confidential devotees, so Prthu Maharaj is his devotee and is a Shaktavish avatar, and nobody can become a Shaktavish avatar if he is not a pure devotee. So even their birth, even the Lord or the devotee's birth, it's all transcendental. There's nothing material in that. And this is what Prabhupada says, the Lord and the devotee appear in this material world, birth after birth, but such births are transcendental. And the Lord really appreciated the prayers, meaningful prayers of King Prthu. So similarly, our prayers, we pray, we have one simple prayer, O Radharani, O Krishna, please engage me in your service by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now, it's up to us how much meaning, how much heart, how much dedication, sincerity, determination, prayerful mood, emotions we put in this chanting. And that is what the Lord is going to appreciate. We're not just supposed to complete our rounds. We're supposed to pray. We're supposed to chant. One must understand the transcendental birth of the Lord and the devotee. The purpose of the Lord's taking birth is to establish devotional service, which is a perfect system of religion. And the purpose of the birth of a devotee is to broadcast the same system of religion or the bhakti cult all over the world. Prthu Maharaj was an incarnation of the power of the Lord to spread the bhakti cult. And the Lord blessed him to remain fixed in his position. Thus, when the king refused to accept any material benediction, the Lord appreciated that refusal very much. Another significant word in this verse is Achyuta, which means infallible. Although the Lord appears in the material world, he is never to be considered one of the conditioned souls who are fallible. Fallible means fall down from their position. We all have fallen from our positions. We were nicely situated in the spiritual world, in the wonderful service of Krishna, and we all fell down. When the Lord appears, he remains in his spiritual position, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. And therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord expresses the quality of his appearance as Atma Mayaya, performed by internal potency. The Lord, being infallible, is not forced by material nature to take birth in this material world. He appears in order to re-establish the perfect order of religious principles and to vanquish the demoniac influence in human society. So the Lord always remains in his transcendental position, and so is his pure devotees. And they do only one thing to establish the religious principles and vanquish the demoniac influence in human society. The devotees do it by preaching. The Lord does sometimes by killing and by other activities also. But the purpose is same. And the Lord really appreciated Maharaj Prthu not asking for any material benedictions. Devarshi Pitri Gandharva Siddha Charana Pannagaha Kinnarapsaraso Martya Khaga Bhutani Anekashaha Yageshwara Dhiya Ragya Vagvittanjaliya Bhaktitaha Sabhajita Yayo Sarve Vaikuntanu Gatastataha. King Prthu worshipped the demigods, the great sages, the inhabitants of Pitriloka, the inhabitants of Gandharva Loka, and those of Siddha Loka, Charan Loka, Pannag Loka, Kinnar Loka, Apsara Loka, the earthly planets and the planets of the birds also. He also worshipped many of the living entities who presented themselves in the sacrificial arena. With folded hands, he worshipped all these, as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the personal associates of the Lord by offering sweet words and as much wealth as possible. After this function, they all went back to their respective abodes, following in the footsteps of Lord Vishnu. In modern so-called scientific society, the idea is very prevalent that there is no life on other planets, but that only on this earth do living entities with intelligence and scientific knowledge exist. The Vedic literatures, however, do not accept this foolish theory. The followers of Vedic wisdom are fully aware of various planets inhabited by varieties of living entities such as demigods, the sages, the Pitas, the Gandharvas, the Pannags, the Kinnars, the Charans, the Siddhas, and the Apsaras. The Vedas give information that in all planets, not only within the material sky, but also in the spiritual sky, there are varieties of living entities. Although all these living entities are of one spiritual nature, in quality the same as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they have varieties of bodies due to the embodiment of the spirit soul by the 8 material elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego. In the spiritual world, however, there is no such distinction between the body and the embodied, body and the soul. In the material world, distinctive features are manifested in different types of bodies in the various planets. We have full information from the Vedic literature that in each and every planet, both material and spiritual, there are living entities of varied intelligence. The Earth is one of the planets of the Bhur-Loka planetary system. So in the Bhur-Loka or the Bhu-Mandal, so Mandal means plenty, many planets in one Mandal. So Earth is only one of the planets in this Bhumandal. There are 6 planetary systems above Bhurloka and 7 planetary systems below it. Therefore, the entire world is known as Chaturdash Bhuvan. So they are Chaturdash, 14 planetary systems, indicating that it has 14 different planetary systems. Beyond the planetary systems in the material sky, there is another sky which is known as Paravayom, or the spiritual sky, where there are spiritual planets. The inhabitants of those planets engage in varieties of loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which include different rasas or relationships, known as Dasiras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuraras, and above all, Parakiyaras. So in Madhurya Ras also there is Parakiya Ras and Swakiya Ras. So Parakiya Ras is considered above all. The Parakiya Ras or Paramar love is prevalent in Krishna Loka, where Lord Krishna lives. So Parakiya Ras is a conjugal love between Krishna and the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, who is apparently married to somebody else. So this is prevalent in Krishna Loka, Golok Vrindavan. This planet is also called Golok Vrindavan, and although Lord Krishna lives there perpetually, he also expands himself in millions and trillions of forms. In one of such forms, he appears on this material planet in a particular place known as Vrindavan Dham, where he displays his original pastimes of Golok Vrindavan Dham in the spiritual sky in order to attract the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. So, of course, in the shloka, it was about different inhabitants of different planets in the material world. The Prabhupada in the purport, he took it to all the way to the topmost planet in the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. So, but the point that Prabhupada is making is every single planet has living entities. There is no such thing as no inhabitants on any planet. Otherwise, what is the need of creating those planets? But we all have different bodies according to the atmosphere of that planet. But they are all material bodies made of 8 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So with these 8 elements, the whole material world is filled up of different kinds of bodies. And they all went back, and Prthu Maharaj worshipped them all and gave them gifts because they all had come to the sacrificial arena. Bhagwan api rajarshe sopadhyayasya nachitaha haranyev mano amushya suddham prati apadyat. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all spiritual, he can descend from the spiritual sky without changing his body, and thus he is known as Achyuta or infallible. When a living entity falls down to the material world, however, he has to accept a material body And therefore, in his material embodiment, he cannot be called Achyuta because he falls down from his real engagement in the service of the Lord. The living entity gets a material body to suffer or to try to enjoy in the miserable material conditions of life. Therefore, the fallen living entity is Chuta, whereas the Lord is called Achyuta. The Lord was attractive for everyone, not only the king, but also the priestly order, who were very much addicted to the performance of Vedic rituals. Because the Lord is all attractive, he is called Krishna, or one who attracts everyone. So that is the meaning of word Krishna, one who attracts everyone. The Lord appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prthu as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. He is the second incarnation from Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who is the origin of material creation and who expands as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who then enters into each and every universe. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is one of the Purushas who control the material modes of nature. So because Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the one who is in charge of this given universe, of every given universe, so he is the one who comes generally for all these sacrifices. So he is the one who came and he went back to his planet. Adrishtaya namaskritya nripa sandarshitatmane avyaktaya cha devanam devaya swapuram yayo. King Prthu then offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Lord of all demigods. Although not an object of material vision, the Lord revealed himself to the sight of Maharaj Prthu. After offering obeisances to the Lord, the king returned to his home. So from his sacrificial arena, he came back to his home. The Supreme Lord is not visible to material eyes, but when the material senses are inclined to the transcendental loving service of the Lord and are thus purified, the Lord reveals himself to the vision of the devotee. Avyakta means unmanifested. Although the material world is a creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is unmanifested to material eyes. Maharaj Prthu, however, developed spiritual eyes by his pure devotion service. Here, therefore, the Lord is described as Sandarshitatma, for he reveals himself to the vision of the pure devotee, although he is not visible to ordinary eyes. So that's his preference, or that's his test. He wants to make sure that we are spiritually uplifted, spiritually pure, engaged in pure devotion service before he reveals himself to us. So that's why sometimes people say, where is God? Show me God. Well, you don't have the eyes to see him. What can we do? He is there in the form of deity also, but still people, they say, no, we don't believe this is marble or stone or wood or metal. We want to see real God. Although he is real God, the deities are real God, but those who don't have faith, they cannot see the Lord in the deity. And those who have no devotional service, their eyes are still not proper, so they cannot see the spiritual Lord. But the Lord was there and he went back, and Prthu Maharaj, being such a pure devotee, he saw, he prayed, and he worshipped the Lord, and now he also came back to his home. So there ends the 20th chapter, and tomorrow we'll start the 21st chapter. Any questions or comments? Okay, so we can end here. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.